dual mode Hall effect triggers, 1000 Hz TMR sticks, mechanical buttons, multi-platform support, a pass-through charging dock, and more. Let's take a look at the D10 by EasySMX. Last time, we checked out the S10 by EasySMX, an impressive multi-platform controller from a brand I was new to, and since then, they reached out and sent me this guy, their D10. In the box we have paperwork, a USB-C charging cable, the charging dock, the USB-A 2.4 GHz adapter, and the D10 controller. It's compatible with PC, Android, iOS, the Switch 1, and as of the latest firmware, the Switch 2. And you won't have to worry about software because, well, there isn't any. But the good news is that most of the features on here can be easily adjusted through shortcuts, which if I'm being honest, I prefer, and it makes it future-proof. So it's wireless, and on the back, we have a mode switch to change between the Nintendo Switch, Bluetooth, and the third is the 2.4 GHz dongle, which can reach up to 1000 Hz, same as wired mode. On the inside, it's packing a 1000 mAh battery that you can charge through either the USB-C port up top or with the included charging dock. They connect together via these charging pins, and on it, we have a USB-C port back here, so with one cable, you can connect it to your console to power it, but it's also a pass-through for the USB-A port in the undercarriage for the 2.4 GHz dongle. So when you lift it off the controller, if it's set to the right mode, it'll automatically connect to the adapter. I love a charging dock. It pretty much makes it so you never have to worry about remembering to connect and charge your controller. Now the D10 has a more traditional design. It plays it safe, but it has a few touches that help it really stand out. It's available in black, but there's also 2 limited editions based on celestial bodies. The green is for the comet, I don't even know how to say this, Wirtanen? What? And the purple is for the dwarf planet Vara. And both of them include their coordinates on the right grip as well. Speaking of which, the grips are about an average size with a slight curve that angles out. They have a micro texture that runs all along the side and inward towards the bottom, and I love that it's the shell itself instead of a separate piece of rubber that falls apart over time. Now in my hand, it feels great. It has a good centered weight to it, it's very ergonomic, and I really like that textured top shell, and paired with that hard plastic texture on the back, it just gives you a confident, locked-in grip. Now, another thing you may have noticed are these plates on the front. On them, we have a nice micro texture, which is very grippy, and they're also transparent, which lets you see the rumble motors on the inside. Very cool. Now let's talk buttons. On the front, we have our standard function buttons: View, Home, which is also for power, Menu, and then we have a mode button for some of its features that also doubles as a capture button on the Switch with a double tap. The face buttons are in the Xbox layout, but you can remap them on the Switch to avoid confusion. They're also nicely spaced out, they're about an average size, kind of bubbly, round, and I like the 3D lettering effect going on in there. Now, as you can hear, these are mechanical switches. Same for just about every other button on here. So you're either gonna love that, as I do, or they're just gonna drive you mad. I get it, they're not the best in a quiet environment, but on the other hand, you just can't beat that tactile feedback. Those switches also make them very fast since they actuate at a super short travel distance and they reset quickly, but the full length is much deeper and it bottoms out with a soft landing. The D-pad is dish style with a smooth finish that makes it very easy to glide around in there. It also uses micro switches along with what they're calling their Easy Puzz. Let's go with Easy Pose. According to them, it gives you lightning fast 8-way movement control so you can feel every direction you hit, including diagonals. Works well. It does a good job avoiding accidental inputs as long as you stay on the edge of the dish because it's much more sensitive towards the center. The analog sticks are about an average size. They're convex and made with a rigid, slightly soft plastic that has this kind of woven texture around the edge. It's not the grippiest I've used, but it works. The tension is low and they glide really well, very smooth, and they're using the latest and everyone's favorite TMR joysticks. TMR stands for Tunneling Magneto-Resistance Sensors that, similar to Hall effect, use magnets instead of physical pieces that eventually wear out and cause drift. But while Hall effect sensors read the magnetic fields with electrical changes in a chip, TMR sensors measures tiny magnetic shifts with freaking quantum tunneling. I don't even know what that is. I don't. Sounds awesome. But the point is that that is much more sensitive, which helps you catch even the slightest of movements. And in use, yeah, it checks out. The accuracy is so good that you can even draw with it. So to keep it simple, TMR sensors make those sticks smoother, more precise, and more efficient. Now, out of the box, there is a small amount of ghosting, which is intentional, but if you hold L3 and the view button for 3 seconds, you can switch into zero ghosting mode. I wouldn't say it's exactly zero, but it's close enough, and I appreciate being able to change that without software. Also, another good piece of news is that I have not experienced any snapback, which is fantastic. Now, they have a 1000 Hz polling rate, but you can only reach that through either the 2.4 GHz connection or wired, but only on PC and Android via a dongle, since iOS, Switch, and the Steam Deck max out at about 125 to 250 Hz. Now, when it comes to these kind of specs, I'd suggest checking out the community results over at Gamepadla, which should give you a good idea of where it really lands. But at least in my personal experience, compared to a normal 125 Hz controller, they feel so fast and responsive, which gives you that crisp, fluid feel in-game. Oh, and another useful feature, you can also switch the analog stick boundary between the traditional circular range or a more precise square mode. You can actually see how on the Steam Deck it's picked up as a square, even though it shows a circle. And this just gives you a more consistent input when you're pushing into those corners. Very nice. Up top, we have our bumpers and triggers in the same paint job as the D-pad, and yes, both are also plastic, and they do feel a bit hollow. The bumpers are a regular size, they're clicky with a short travel distance, and it's easy to use along the entire button. Now the triggers are an average size, they curve upward, but they actually work in 2 modes, and you can switch between them with these trigger locks on the back. The first is fast, linear Hall effect triggers, and like the face buttons, they're clicky with a short travel distance. The second mode gives you the full travel distance, which I'd say is like a medium length. They're buttery smooth, reset quickly, and they have a good amount of tension, which is actually very useful here because they're dual stage analog triggers. So unlike digital, which is just an on and off switch, these can read every tiny range of movement, which gives you that pressure sensitive control, perfect for something like shooters where a light squeeze activates a normal firing mode, and squeezing it all the way down gives you an alternate fire, but it's most popular with racing games where these act like a pedal that you can press lightly when steering around tight corners, and then you can pull them all the way back for full throttle on long strips of road. And better yet, if you use these on PC with Steam or on the Steam Deck, you can actually customize them to work for just about any game where they act as 2 separate inputs that you can map. Very useful. Now over on the back, we have, well, the back buttons. They're small, but well positioned. They're more clacky than clicky, if that makes sense, and they have a light amount of resistance. Now with a shortcut, you can quickly map them to just about any button on here. But it also has a macro feature that you can use in the same method, but instead of pressing a single button, you can record up to 17 inputs, including the analog stick, and assign it to either back button. It also has RGB lighting on these angled lines above the grip plates. Looks really good, and there's a few modes you can choose from. And another cool feature is that the dock will synchronize with whatever mode you set the controllers to. Love details like that. Now it does have a few additional features such as standard rumble with 4 levels of strength. It has a turbo mode with auto fire and adjustable speed. It also has motion controls, but sadly they're exclusive to Switch mode. And finally, it can wake the Switch 1, but not the Switch 2. So if you like the idea of a controller with TMR sticks, Hall effect triggers, a 2-in-1 connection and charging dock, the D10 is a great third-party controller with a solid list of features, which seems first-party and officially licensed controllers just can't keep up with. But as always, let me know what you think of it down in the comments, along with any other controller you'd like us to check out next while we're in this gamepad rabbit hole. Also, if you're looking to pick one up and want to support us at the same time, please check the affiliate links in the description below. I'll also include some discounts they were awesome enough to send our way. This is Sergio AM. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you for the next box. If you like this video and want to help us out, click that thumbs up button and leave a comment below so we can talk. Now, if you want to go further, subscribe and ding the bell to stay notified whenever we post a new video. You made it to the end, and I just want you to know that you are the reason we do what we do. This is Sergio AM, and I'll see you for the next box.